Hello YouTube, Freddie Cardona here. Welcome back to another boring driving and the news. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Today is March 17th, 2023. And we're here for another snippet of the news. I had a viewer yesterday, he had me laughing. He said, I had so much fun being bored watching your video. So I told him in the comments that if anyone has amnesia, they can watch these news videos and go right to sleep. All right, guys, let's get you the St. Patrick's Day edition of the news.
And other serious illnesses. Loving, compassionate, expert care in our hospital or in your home relieves their pain and improves quality of life. And not just for the person who's sick. We also care for families and loved ones because we know they need comfort too. If you or someone you love is facing a life-limiting illness, take a minute and talk to us about Calvary Care, our 123-year tradition of compassion, caring, commitment, dignity, and non-abandonment. Call 718-518-2000 for the extra special care you need, or visit calvaryhospital.org. Calvary Hospital, where life continues.
WINS, WINS-FM and HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
1010 winds AccuWeather, a cloudy, mild day. We're looking at drizzle, maybe a shower, especially in the inland suburbs this morning. It should be cloudy and 52 for the start of the St. Patrick's Day parade, and then cloudy and 58 later this afternoon. Still some rain this evening, then cloudy overnight 42. Sunny, breezy 54 tomorrow. It's 49 now. More people get their news from 1010 winds than from any other radio station in the nation. John Davis is our service aide. Justin Schrager's at the editor's desk. I'm Susan Richard.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning, 49 degrees, 8 o'clock. It's Friday, March 17th. I'm Lee Harris, and here's what's happening. It is St. Patrick's Day. The parade back in full force this year, stepping off on 5th Avenue at 11 a.m. Should run about 5.5 hours. Another teenager shot in the city, this time outside an elementary school in the Bronx. More solvent banks are teaming up to put together a rescue package for wobbly-looking First Republic Bank. Some shoppers at an Upper West Side supermarket are upset about the facial recognition technology being used there to fight shoplifters. President Xi of China will be in Moscow next week in an apparent show of support for Vladimir Putin. Sports, the Rangers won, the Devils and the Nets lost. Princeton shocked Arizona in the NCAA, and it looks like Mets closer Edwin Diaz is out for the season. 1010 winds AccuWeather, cloudy today and mild. We'll have a high of 58 in Midtown. What's news time? 8:01. Now traffic and transit, and Karen Stewart.
Well, we have a stalled car on the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway at 114th Street. We have an inbound GW Bridge wait of 20 minutes. It's going to be heavy over the span and jammed down the Henry Hudson to 114th. The inbound Lincoln and Holland tunnels, they're looking at 15 to 20-minute delays right now. And over at the East River, some slight delays over at the inbound RFK Triborough, moderately heavy to the Upper East Side. The Upper East Side is jammed on the Harlem River going past the bridge, and that's not helping the bridge's cause at all. The 59th Street Bridge and the Queens Midtown Tunnel, they're moderate too. And then if you travel in the lower East River crossings getting to them, the inbound Gowanus has delays from Fort Hamilton Parkway to 39th Street and then up into 20th. And then from 20th into Atlantic Avenue, we are jammed. The northbound Van Wyck Expressway is jammed, trying to make your way up into Atlantic Avenue from back of the Bell Parkway. And the Bell Parkway is busiest from the airport exits out into Cross Bay Boulevard. And then from Cross Bay Boulevard to Flatbush Avenue, it's okay. At Flatbush, we start to see more westbound delays getting out to Sheepshead Bay. And we've got an eastbound Bell Parkway delay coming off of the Verrazano Bridge. Long Islanders, the northern state has got a problem over on the westbound side of exit 31. A disabled vehicle. It's only on the shoulder, but it is causing a slowdown, and the LIRR is on time. Alternate side parking rules are in effect for today. We're sponsored by Ray Catena Porsche. Traffic and transit every 10 minutes around the clock. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
You know you've made the right decision when you choose a Porsche certified pre-owned vehicle from Ray Catena Porsche. Not only does it meet the exacting standards set by Porsche, it has to meet the high standards set by Ray Catena. When choosing a certified pre-owned Porsche, choose Ray Catena Porsche in Edison.
It is St. Patrick's Day, and the St. Patrick's Day Parade returns to Fifth Avenue today in full force. Cardinal Dolan, for one, is glad of it.
That cohesion, that identity, that's just part of the human psyche. We need it today because there's a great sense of privatization. But when I walk down the streets here in New York, as I do a lot, I will always look at people and smile and say good morning. Sadly, 90% of them don't see me.
It is the 262nd St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City. Governor Hochul will march, so will Mayor Adams. Unfortunately, firefighter Billy Moon won't be marching, but his family will be.
Rescue firefighter Billy Moon was a proud Irish American.
This was one of his favorite months. He loved St. Patrick's Day.
For Moon's widow, Christina, and their 9-year-old son, Colin, marching with the FDNY in the St. Patrick's Day Parade is comfort in a dark time. In December, Billy Moon died in a training accident.
He donated his lungs to a New York City fireman, his liver to a New York City fireman, and then his heart and his kidneys.
It is now Christina Moon's mission to persuade us all to be like her husband. Check the box on your license. Be an organ donor.
My husband's still out there. Like, he's still there. And the fact that he was able to save these people, it's just looking at how healthy they are. It's unbelievable how quickly those transplants work.
Sean Adams, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM near St. Patrick's Cathedral.
The parade steps off at 11 at 44th and 5th. It'll run up to 79th Street. Should last about 5.5 hours. Obviously, there will be street closures. We'll steer you around them and traffic and transit on the ones. And we want to see how you celebrate St. Patrick's Day. We're at 1010 wins, so you can tag us in your photos on Twitter and Instagram. It's been a dangerous week to be a teenager in New York City, at least in certain neighborhoods. Another teenager was shot outside a school in the Bronx. Samantha Liebman with more from Mott Haven this morning.
This shooting around 4:30 at a playground between the Mott Haven houses and an elementary school, just another in a string of violent incidents involving teens this week in the city. A 16-year-old shot in the buttocks. Police looking for 2 male suspects. Peter Herrera was playing soccer nearby when it happened and spoke to Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
It's just out of hand. It's getting out of hand. NYPD got to do something about it.
The NYPD not saying whether they think this is related to 3 shootings near Manhattan schools Tuesday, which they believe were gang-related. 3 people, including 2 teens, hurt. The victim in this case expected to recover. Samantha Liebman, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Mott Haven, the Bronx.
1010 wins AccuWeather on this St. Patrick's Day. Cloudy and mild, some drizzle or shower, especially in the inland suburbs this morning.
You always hear that the police department has to do something about it. The mayor has to do something about it. How about the parents have to do something about it? Don't they have accountability when their teenagers shoot other kids?
Cloudy, humidity at 37. The winds are variable at 6. 49, we're going up to 58. We're getting some details now on the rescue package being put together for First Republic Bank so it doesn't fail like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank.
11 financial institutions are taking part, including such big names as J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America. Each of them will add $5 billion in uninsured deposits. Banking consultant Bert Ely.
I just thought of a new law. When a minor commits a crime, whether it's shoplifting, whether it's shooting, if a minor that's underage commits a crime, the parents should be held accountable for that crime, and the parents should be charged with that crime. What do you guys think?
Spotted in Hawaii yesterday. He's apparently been hanging out at his $3 million townhouse on Maui. The Fairway Supermarket at Broadway and 74th is using facial recognition technology to fight an epidemic of shoplifting. But attorney Peter Romer-Friedman has a problem with that since it's not just the shoplifters getting scanned.
If a consumer is going to go into a store, they have an absolute right to know what information is going to be collected from them. You shouldn't have to give up your biometric identifier information if you want to buy a bag of chips.
But this Fairway shopper doesn't care.
Honestly, I don't, because I know that just walking around New York City or London or any major city, that there's cameras everywhere.
Amazon's facing a class action suit for using recognition technology at its Amazon Go stores in New York City and elsewhere. Amazon claims it does not use facial recognition technology in its stores and that its palm reader payment technology is strictly optional. Rikers Island was supposed to be replaced with smaller jails in the boroughs. Those jails have yet to be built, but there's a growing chorus calling for Rikers to be shut down anyway by 2027. City Controller Brad Lander among those who want that to happen.
We have not made the progress necessary to end the humanitarian emergency that is Rikers Island, and we're not going to wait 7 years more. We're not going to wait 6 years more.
City Hall says the timeline for building replacement jails is unrealistic, especially with current supply chain and labor shortages and material and labor costs. One of the nation's other most notorious lockups is getting a makeover and losing its death row.
San Quentin sits on San Francisco Bay, housing the highest number of prisoners on death row in the country. But no one has been put to death there since 2006. Still, nearly 700 prisoners remain on death row today. Last year, Newsom announced plans to begin transferring those inmates to other prisons. San Quentin is to be transformed into a site where inmates can be rehabilitated and receive job training before returning to society. It's to be renamed the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. Newsom's aim to break the cycles of crime and create a new model for safety and justice. I'm Ben Thomas.
It is 49 degrees and cloudy in New York. We're going up to 58 in Midtown. We have some spotty showers in the inland suburbs. The Civilian Complaint Review Board has the power to make recommendations to the NYPD about disciplining cops, and the NYPD has the power to ignore those recommendations, which Maggie Hadley of the Legal Aid Society says NYPD Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell has been doing all too often.
In 2022, she rejected the CCRB's discipline recommendations in more than half of cases, which is a very high rate, much higher than her predecessors. And often her reasoning for these rejections was not logical and not in line with the disciplinary guidelines that were agreed to by the CCRB and the NYPD.
The NYPD responds that the CCRB failed to provide recommendations on these cases in a timely manner and before the expiration of the statute of limitations. China's President Xi will be visiting Moscow next week in an apparent show of support for Vladimir Putin. China has refused to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, while at the same time insisting that territorial integrity of all nations should be respected. The Pentagon has released video of a Russian jet knocking a U.S. drone into the Black Sea earlier this week.
The Pentagon releasing the declassified video to set the record straight about what happened Tuesday over the Black Sea. A U.S. official saying Russians are now in the area where the drone crashed and have gathered some of the pieces. But the Pentagon assured that sensitive information has been remotely wiped from the drone and that even if the Russians recover it, it will be inoperable.
Martha Raddatz at the Pentagon. Speaking of Russian jets, Ukraine will be getting some soon, not from Russia, obviously, but from Poland. In reality, these are Soviet Union jets, not of recent vintage, but still effective.
Polish President Duda saying Poland will deliver a number of MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine in the coming days. White House spokesperson John Kirby, meanwhile, saying Poland's decision does not impact the U.S.'s calculus when it comes to providing F-16s. Ukrainian President Zelensky has repeatedly called for the West to help Kyiv with warplanes. Ines de la Cuetara, ABC News, at the Foreign Desk.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on my commute to work. I know these are not exciting videos and they're mildly boring. I say mildly, right? Just to be kind. But let's face it, whose morning commute is really exciting, right? This is why I appreciate that you guys have been following me in this commute. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining me on this Driving and the News. We'll see you on the next one.